So this theoretical aspect might not be that interesting for you because you've been through all of this. So hydroponics, as the term suggests, it is actually hydro and ponics. Hydro means water and ponics means labor. So it's the water that is doing all the work here. So hydroponics is essentially a soilless farming system where we use water and inert substances to grow plants. So, as you can see, it is actually a replacement for the conventional agriculture, and that's why we call it high-tech horticulture. So, in case of hydroponics, we replace the like basic essence, that is soil, and we change it into water, and we grow plants in a very precise manner, and that's why it is termed as high-tech. And as you know, how does it work? So, might be most of you have seen this either over YouTube videos, or you might have even like on-field experience with hydroponics. So basically, we have a standard nutrient solution, which will be either running all the time as in NFT systems, or might be stagnant in the what you'll say in your setup, or it might be even like an aeroponic system where you'll be giving mist in the root zone. So whatever it is, the main thing is water, and apart from that we'll be having inert substance to hold the roots, and we'll be having a container to place the plant. So these are the basic essentialities or necessities in a hydroponic setup. So you know that in case of like everything, like if we want to grow or if a plant wants to grow, we do need many elements, like we call them beneficial and essential nutrients. That is all necessary for a plant growth. So in this case, the beneficial and essential nutrients, macronutrients, micronutrients, everything is supplemented by our nutrient solution. And apart from that, light, carbon dioxide, water, that would be given by, like, that would be already present in our greenhouse setup. And we are just replacing the soil, and we are giving inert medium for the root to other two. So we are aware that soil is not the thing that makes the plant grow. It's the elements and the nutrients present in the soil. So we are just replacing the soil, and we are adding the inert matter so that the root can be adhered and the nutrients are supplied to the water so the plants can grow well. So this is just an explanation. You know what in like NPK was like, but what nitrogen is for, what phosphorus is for, and what potash is for. So generally, when we go into hydroponics, this macro elements are supplemented in a larger quantity. I'll say about that in the upcoming slides when we talk about our fertilizer solutions and all, how to make a fertilizer solution. So basically, the necessity of a plant growth is with NPK, and this slide just represents that. And now, when you come into hydroponic setup, you might be knowing that, like, how do we calculate about what is the nutrients that we are supplementing? How, like, when you think about hydroponics or even conventional agriculture, there is a thing that everybody takes into account. That is the pH. So, in case of a hydroponic system, also, you should be monitoring two parameters very closely. One is pH, and the other one is TDS. As you know, pH is the total hydrogen ion in the negative algorithm of hydrogen ions. And what you'll say about TDS is actually total dissolved salts in your solution, which is actually your fertilizer indication. And in case of hydroponics, or in normal case as well, the TDS and pH is having an inverse relationship. When your EC or TDS increases, your pH normally decreases because of the ionic concentration. And this is actually a range of pH in which plants can grow. Like in acidic pH, what plants can grow, and in basic pH, what plants can grow. And sorry, it's not plants can grow, it's like the pH of normal things. It's just to understand what the concept of pH is actually. You can, on the other one side, you can see acidic materials. In between, you can see neutral, that is distilled water and normal water, egg and all. It's considered as neutral to basic, and the other thing is basic. So it's just giving the 1 to 14 pH scale. And now the other slide show you the typical TDS range, or the salt range required for various plants to grow. So there is a list of plants like artichoke, asparagus, and there are plenty of lists given. And this is actually the ppm concentration, parts per million concentration of the nutrients that is required for the plants to grow. But this is actually a generalized idea. But when you come into the practical scenario, you should be knowing that initially what concentration is required for the plant growth, and when it comes to a fruiting or flowering stage, you should be changing your nutrient ratios. So these things will not be knowing from the theoretical knowledge. This is actually a practical game. You will be working on a field, you will be doing it, you will be doing trials and errors, and that's how you will be getting to know what is the actual range of TDS or EC which is required for the plant's growth. And you can just check it. Like here it's saying that lettuce is require lettuce just require 560 to 840 ppm. But in my experience, to gain growth in case of lettuce, like I do my work in lettuce, and we require harvest in every 30 days. So to target your harvest in every 30 days, like maximum 45 days or 50 days from the date of sowing, you cannot achieve that with the TDS of 560 to 840. So that aspect you have to gain from your practical expertise. So I'll share you what I have found and what felt right to me. It might not be the same for everybody, because this is in case of a Gulf country scenario. It might be different in Asiatic scenarios, but still this can actually add some value to your knowledge. And now the other thing is like fertilizer part is done, and now we have the growing media. It can be any inert media in which the plants can grow. It can be coco peat, it can be rock wool, it can be hydroponics foam. So these are all the growing medias which can be used for your plants to. Actually, it's just having a support system. Your plants can support to it, and your plants can grow. That's the basic idea about growing medium. Am I going too fast, or are you able to catch up? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it's fine, right? I'm not going too fast, right?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Continue.
Oh, yes, ma'am. In the sense, I got an idea that I'm going too fast. Is it okay that should I slow down?
Okay,
No, no,
ma'am.
no, no. It is very, very
Okay,
slow.
okay. So these are the other growing materials that we take into consideration, like perlite, clay balls, rock wool, sawdust, and most of you are aware of these things, right? So this is our growing medias which we'll use. The just you should be aware that these growing medias are inert. They doesn't supplement any nutrients to the plant growth, except rock wool. It has a like potassium concentration, phosphorus concentration, which actually increases the root growth. But it's it's part of certain studies. But still, apart from that, most of the growing media that we use are inert. It doesn't add up any value. It just gives the support or anchoring to your plants. That's it. So now we are going into the classification of hydroponics. These are all theoretical, I know that, but let me just give you a brief intro which before going into the commercial aspect of horticulture. So it's like two types. One is active hydroponic system, and the other one is passive. So in active case, we use energy to expand your water. In the other case, which doesn't use energy, it's actually a nutrient solution in a container. It's the passive system where the plant grows. The nutrient solution will be kept stagnant, but in case of an active system, the nutrient solution will be moving around by use of energy. Like you'll be using a pump, motor, and all to supplement the nutrient solution to your growing system. And now types of hydroponics, as you know, there are different types of hydroponic system. So the first one is just a second. Okay. So the first one is actually, you can see from the picture, there are different types of hydroponic system: deep water culture. Then we'll be having drip irrigation system, where you'll be having Dutch buckets, and over the Dutch bucket, you'll be keeping a drip systems. And now the other thing is wick irrigation system, where you'll be having a nutrient, like you will be placing your net pots quite above the height of your nutrient solution, and you'll be keeping wicks so that capillary action takes in the nutrient solution. And the other one is aeroponic system and ebb and flow system, where you'll be keeping the water stagnant, and often you'll be increasing the water level level and downing it. And then you'll be having your nutrient film technique, which is what I use in my farm. So where the nutrients actually as a flow of water goes towards the root zone, and it actually gives a it actually gives the nutrients that is required for the plant growth. So this is a picture, like image of nutrient film technique. So you can see that there is a NFT channels, and the NFT channels will be having holes to hold the net ports in every 30 or 20 centimeter, whatever the specification of that NFT channel pipe is. As per of that, you will be having holes in between, and you'll be keeping your net ports in there. And the main aspect of nutrient film technique is it's having a slope. So when I came into my farm, I was quite surprised with the setup that they were having, because our nutrient like NFT channel pipes are 13-meter long. So when you think about such long NFT pipes, it might not be necessarily equal that water distribution is the same everywhere. Initially, in the beginning, where the inlet pipe is, you will be having water flow. And in my system, when I came in here, it was not having like slope. So what was the problem is, the NFT channel always had residual water in there, and in many places, like the bottom end where the water gets drained, always water used to clog in there. And when water keeps stagnating in your NFT system, it actually causes root rot. So that was the main concern which we had in the initial time. So after coming in here, we just increase the slope so that water can continuously circulate. So that is an important aspect you need to consider, that I'll explain further in the case of your commercial hydroponics. But basically you have to get the knowledge that when your NFT system is more than the standard size, if your NFT system is 13 or 10 or even 8 meters long, there is very difficulty in growing your plants, because one end the plants will be growing very nicely. In between the center, there might not be enough water so that the plants cannot grow properly, and at the drain end there will be so much of water so that the plant gets rotting and other disease symptoms. So that is an important point that you need to consider. So the standard length of an NFT pipe is normally around 5 to 6 meters. It doesn't go more than that. So when you increases, like when you join 2 or 3 NFT pipes together to make a single system, there are many difficulties associated with it. So these are like the images I said about drip system of hydroponics. This is an example of drip system of hydroponics, where you can see that there is a Dutch bucket, there is an inert media which is cocoa. In this case, it is clay balls, and you'll be having clay balls in there, and the overhead drip pipe actually suspends your nutrient media inside, and it helps the plants to grow. So the another aspect of hydroponics is indoor hydroponics, which was just like you will be keeping 1, 2, 3 like that multi-tiered system, and you will be supplementing artificial sunlight for the plants to artificial light for the plants to grow. So such system is indoor hydroponic system. And now you know what are the benefits of hydroponics. So when you come into hydroponic system, there are many benefits. The first one is you can grow plants anywhere. So it removes the spatial constraint, and it also removes your time constraint. So these are the main two factors that we say we can grow plants very efficiently inside a hydroponic system. It actually maximizes the space required, it conserves water. So in the conventional system, if you are using 1,000 gallons of water, you can achieve the same things with 6 or 7 gallons of water in a hydroponic system. So that is the main benefit. In long run, you know that it's been said that the third world war will be for water. So in such a scenario, conserving water is of prime importance now. So it's actually very beneficial to grow plants in hydroponic system so that the water can be conserved. The another aspect is like we create the microclimate in there. If something goes wrong in the conventional agriculture, there are many things that we can blame on, like the climate went well, the soil was not proper, or like it was due to a rain. So there are many factors which we can keep our blames on. But when we consider about hydroponics or high-tech horticulture, you cannot blame anyone for a mistake, because hydroponics and high-tech agriculture is where we create our own microclimate. what the plant needs to grow, that we have to supplement them. If you blame, like if you did something wrong, then that only will be manifested in your system. So this one is highly precise. If you say about hydroponics, it is very highly precise. If something goes wrong, it's the management issue. Other than that, you cannot be blaming anything for for any failures. So this is, as you all know, it's having high yield because the quality of the produce is very nice, as we are supplementing artificial sources for the plant growth. And it requires less labor, but initially it might require high labor, but slowly it's like during after this phase of building up your greenhouse and all, it requires very less labor, because it's easy to manage a big folio house with 2 or 3 people, that's it. And the quality is quite high because we don't have any pest and disease incidents so often. And it's actually reduced supply chain. It's like when you will say about the in between factors into taken into consideration for the production, it is actually not that much factors are involved in case of um, hydroponic system. And as you said, there are, like as I said previously, there is a faster growth in conventional system. If the lettuce take more than 2 or 3 months for the growth, in case of hydroponic system, your maximum target is 50 days. Before 50 days, you have to sell out your plants. From the seeding till harvesting, you will be requiring only 50 days for the growth. And as I said, it's predictable, and it is actually reasonable. We can there is no if there is something that is wrong, then it is only because of the management. If you are not taking your hydroponics in, if you are not doing it in a very technical way or a proper manner, if you don't have a person with a hands-on experience, then it might be going wrong. Other than that, if you have a person who knows how we can run the system, then nothing can go wrong in a hydroponic setup. So these are the few projects that I would like to show you. So this one was like all in Kerala. This is NFT system. And this is an indoor hydroponic system where you can see we've been using artificial light to supplement the plant growth. And we also tried doing capsicums in NFT channel. But the concern is the roots actually go so deep, because when we use NFT, we actually grow NFT for short duration crops. We usually use NFT for leafy greens, which is actually in short duration. After a particular period of time, you can take it out and we can actually, temperature goes beyond 50 degrees Celsius. What do you expect to be the temperature inside the greenhouse? It's a general question. Degrees Celsius, right? So if it is outside, if it is 50, I should be getting 35 inside my greenhouse. So that is the orientation of greenhouse. So mainly we'll be hearing that north-south direction is the orientation of greenhouse. But make sure that the greenhouse is oriented in such a way that it's oriented not against the airflow. So it should be always the greenhouse should be always oriented in the direction where the air is coming from. Your fan and pads should be well equipped to take in air, and your SO should be well equipped to let out the hot air. And greenhouse construction. So I've been doing a thorough research about lettuce cultivation, and what I got to know from my own experience is, if the length of your greenhouse is more than 30 meters, you will not be able to get proper temperature control. If it is in the length of 30 meters, then temperature control is very easy inside a greenhouse. But when it goes beyond that, your temperature will not be what you expect it to be. So that is an important factor to consider in case of a greenhouse construction. And the other aspect is the choice of crop that you are going to grow. So basically, if you are a grower, then the choice of crop depends upon the market. So we've been doing very different crops previously, but after analyzing our market demand, we shifted our crops. So basically, we've been doing very different types of lettuces, and most of them doesn't have a good market here. Later on, we got to know about few particular varieties which are of high market demand, and now we are focusing on that. So before like going into like before everybody says that every exotic crops can be marketed, it is not like that. There are few which is of high market demand, and you can only go go for growing them. And the main aspect is technical assistance. So if you don't have, and if you are going into a greenhouse industry and if you don't have a proper knowledge of what you are going to do, then it is very tough. It's very tough for your owner as well, and it's very tough for you as a grower. So gain knowledge as much as you can do. Like, it's not that we require a very big system to get the basic knowledge. Even in a small system, you can actually start gaining your basic knowledge, and thereafter, if you if somebody is an owner of a greenhouse and they don't have a person who's technically knowledgeable, then that's very difficult for running a greenhouse. So technical knowledge is very important if it is in a greenhouse industry. And next is start growing. After all these parameters are met, you can actually start growing your plants. And now I'll be giving you a brief introduction about lettuce in hydroponics, which is what I'm doing. So this is actually the slide on seed sowing of lettuce. It's actually a PDF that I have made, and I just took all the pictures from that and I kept it in the PPT. So when you say about seed sowing, because mostly we know, place the seeds in make a what will say growing media, take a growing media, layer it, and then keep the seeds, and it will grow. But it's not like that, because we've been doing a lot of trial and error after coming into this industry, and you cannot always expect what will say that 100% germination that your seed company offers. But you can get near to 95 or 98% germination in a proper way, because we've been doing our trials initially, and there was many mistake, I can say you. I was using rice one seed and also Insasadan seeds, which was actually quite expensive. These seeds come in a can of 5,000 seeds, and it costs around 10,000 Indian rupees. So we don't have what will say a single can with 5,000 seeds. When it costs you 10,000 Indian rupee, you'll be very much under the stress that all the plants should germinate. Otherwise, it's going to be a great loss for your owner. So you'll be kept under pressure, but still, firstly, initially, if you try sowing the seeds with there are many things that you need to consider. The very first thing is the EC of the substrate that you are using. Or often this coco peat, it might be having high EC. So washing the coco peat is highly important. And then if you are not washing it properly, soaking it in or soak it overnight, squeeze it out, then in not in so much of moisture, but in a very what will say less moisture, you can actually very less moisture content, you can actually sow the plants. If you completely wet the coco peat and then layer it and then keep your seeds in, it's not going to germinate. But if you just that is required, just wet the coco peat, soak the coco peat one day before, squeeze out mostly all the water, and when you keep the coco peat in between your thumbs and your forefinger, you have to just get a kind of slight moisture. That is the correct that is what the correct parameter is. So when you get a slight moisture in your finger, you just layer your substrate, and you place your seeds in such a way that it is not totally covered in the media, but just keep it above. That's all we need, because already the seeds are pelleted enough. So just keep it above and slightly cover it with little media, and then in order to give the relative humidity, cover it up, and you can observe that in 4 days entire, you can get nearly 95 to 98% germination. Within 4 days, all the radicle will be emerged, and your plants will be doing fine. And once you see that about 98% germination is observed, take it out and then keep it in ample sunlight. And within 14 days, your plants will be ready to transplant. In case of lettuce and mostly all the leafy greens that I have tried, except that for parsley. Parsley is requiring some little more time to grow. But for all the lettuce, basil, and all, you can easily germinate it between 14 days. And Another thing is like if you are doing kale, then kale requires sunlight to germinate. If you cover it, like if you do like seeds, sow the seeds of kale, and if you don't cover it, it is not. If you cover it, it's not going to come out. So if you don't cover and if you let the light to pass, then it is easily germinating. So you can see this is the 14th day, and in 14th day we can actually transplant it into normally if you are doing in coco peat, you have to transplant it into hydroponics foam or your clay bowls or whatever inert media you are using in a net pot. Or else you can actually if you're doing in rock wool, you can actually cut the rock wool with the plant and you can keep it inside your net pots and you can transfer it into your NFT channel. And this is in case of a net pot with hydro. Like we use normally horticultural foam. It is actually a sponge which is cut in the shape of circles, and we use that for our transplanting because that thing it's quite cheaper and it is also reusable. We can use it multiple times that we want. So we normally go with horticultural foam, and there are actually trials in which people germinate the plants in horticultural foam. I've been trying to do that, but it's not that effective like we do in case of a tray, because in this normal trays we do around 1,000 plants at a time. But when we come into horticultural foams, we can only accommodate around 200 horticultural foams in a tray, and we've been doing that. It's quite difficult and it's quite time consuming, and the plants doesn't the seeds doesn't germinate in a uniform way or a proper way. And now next is like the sterilization of a system. If you are going for transplanting, what you have to do is you have to sterilize your system effectively. If you don't sterilize your system effectively, then there might be chances of like getting contaminations, and your plants which is recently transplanted will be soon withered without any what will say growth. So first of all, you have to clean your NFT channel properly using chlorine and all to mop sweep what will say to just wipe it around as of external application. And inside the NFT channel you can run fresh water and you can remove all the debris, previous season crop roots, everything. And that's how you actually clean your system. And once your system is thoroughly cleaned, then only you have to go for transplanting, or else you will be having high disease and pest incidences. And now this is an image of our system like after transplanting. So in NFT channel, if you transplant the crops, then you have to make sure that there are different parameters that you'll be taking into concern. So the very first thing is initially for the very 7 days of transplant, you should be maintaining a water level in your NFT channel that is reaching the bottom of the net pot. If you don't maintain that water level throughout the day and night, your plants will quickly die. So monitor the water level every day, and your initial EC, I'll be giving a small session about the EC requirement. So the initial EC, you should be keeping it around 1.2 so that the plants can actually grow very fast. As you have seen, like previously I told you, the TDS requirement for lettuce in normal all the cases they are showing it is around 500 to 800, but that is for a slow growing system. But if you want a fast growing system, you have to increase your EC and TDS. So we measure our data in case of electrical conductivity. So my normally when I sow a seed, my initial irrigation will be with 0.8 EC fertilizer water. Thereafter, I'll be increasing it into 1.2 like that till transplanting. And once the transplanting is done, initially for a few days, I'll be maintaining an EC of 1.2, and thereafter it's increased to 1.6, 1.8 like that. Just a second. So this is the nutrient solution that I am using. So it's not like mostly everybody keeps their nutrient solution like hidden, but it's not to be hidden because this is all available on internet. So if you check for the nutrient solution, you'll be getting such solutions easily. But there are few things that we do additionally for achieving the optimal growth. But apart from that, nutrient solution mostly in all the cases it is most like same. So my system is what we called as fertilizer injection system. So I'll be having A, B, C, and 3 tanks. So A is for calcium nitrate as well as potassium nitrate. These are the only two fertilizers which can be mixed without causing precipitation. So I can mix calcium nitrate and potassium nitrate in very high concentration in my stock tank A, and along with iron. So that is my stock solution A. And similarly, I'll be making stock solution B, which in which I'll be using potassium nitrate again, monopotassium phosphate, and also magnesium sulfate. These are the macro elements and the micro elements as well. And this is how I'll be making my B tank. And when this concept A and B tanks are made, then you will be keeping like this particular um, cable. It shows for a 200-liter stock tank. In a 200-liter stock tank, you will be using around 90 kgs of calcium nitrate, 14 kgs of potassium nitrate, and iron 700 grams. This is my stock tank A. And in case of stock tank B, you will be using 9 kgs of monopotassium phosphate, 7 kgs of magnesium sulfate, and 12 kgs of potassium nitrate, and all the micronutrients which is required in grams. So normally I don't go for measuring all these micronutrients. I'll be just buying a micronutrient mix without iron, and I'll be supplementing that in my stock tank B as per like 300 grams or 400 grams during my crop cycle. So once I make this A and B stock solution, then what happens is like this A and B stock solution, while I am injecting my fertilizer to the NFT channel, it goes like for 5 seconds or 10 seconds or even like half an hour, we'll be running the fertilizers. So it mixes up in the system, and it like A and B is taken into the system by suction or Venturi action, and then it goes 1 into 100 dilution. So if my fertilizer system is injecting, it doesn't inject A and B thoroughly as it is. It is going into the pipes through a 1 into 100 dilution, and it reaches the plant. And during injection system, it will be like initially you can see the screen will be showing you high EC, but make sure that if it is showing 16, it's actually diluting in very low rate, and it is going for the plants. So that's how our system works. And for tank C, it is pH corrector. So it can be either potassium hydroxide for bringing the pH. It's actually potassium. It can be both pH up and pH down. pH up is mainly potassium hydroxide, which increases the pH, and pH down is what will say? Sorry, it's actually phosphoric acid for bringing the pH down. So in our case, we use pH down mostly. So phosphoric acid is my pH down, and I'll be making a stock solution of phosphoric acid by adding 50 ml of phosphoric acid into my 100 liters of stock tank. And like there might be a certain what will say certain value changes, because the thing that I'm looking into is my initial water will be having a pH of 7. I'll be adding phosphoric acid, phosphoric acid in the required concentration, that it brings down my pH from 7 to 4. That's the thing that I'll be looking forward. So whatever the quantity is required, I'll be adding it into my stock tank to bring down my a pH to 4. And that is my stock tank C, where the water is having a pH of 4, and it will be also running along with my fertilizer injection system. So this is a basic idea of my fertigation schedule. And normally in Asiatic condition, it is said that the fertilizer the system runs 24/7. In our case, the system is not running 24/7. We'll be doing like 5 minutes, 10 minutes fertilizer injection, then 20 minutes the water will be running, then it will be in rest for 10 minutes, then again the system is running like that. And initially in the winter season, we were not doing night irrigation, but once the summer approached, we are doing night irrigations as well. Because you know that when the plant is growing, there is two types of accumulation of nutrients. So if you like the nutrients that plants take in a day, it's called passive absorption. It is only because that evapotranspiration is happening, so the plants is taking up the nutrients. So it takes up all the nutrients, which is once the what like evapotranspiration occurs and root pressure is created, it takes up all the nutrients. But at night, plants go for active absorption. In case of active absorption, plants spend energy and it only takes the nutrients that is deficit in the plants. So it is essential for giving essential to give night irrigation and night fertigation, because that is the time when the plants take what they require. In the daytime, they'll be actively absorb like passively absorbing everything that is there in the nutrient solution, but at night it will be actively searching for the deficit night nutrients only. So it will be only taking the deficit nutrients at the night. So these are TDS, pH meters, and one important thing that you should consider is the temperature of your irrigation water. If your temperature of irrigation water goes very high, your plants will not be doing well. There is a saying that plants cool themselves. So in a summer scenario, like in our greenhouse, our plants are doing fine only because of our water temperature. Because I said you previously, my greenhouse temperature goes above 35. When you see about lettuce cultivation at a temperature above 35, your yield will be very less. But we are able to achieve quite a decent yield only because of our water temperature. We have installed chillers in our what will say stock like a reservoir tank, and like from our reservoir tank, water which is supplementing to the plants always have a temperature of around 22 to 25. That is the temperature I maintain in case of my irrigating water, and that temperature helps the plants to cool down. Apart from that, if you don't cool down your irrigating water properly, then your plants will not be doing well. And along with irrigation, there is another aspect that you need to consider. Like, there is a peak time of heat in a day from morning 10 to 3 p.m. So that is the time you have to give ample shading for your greenhouse, otherwise your plants will not be growing properly. Lettuce is a low light intensity crop. It doesn't require so much of light. But if you do some other crops, it might be requiring more light. That is a challenge even I am facing in my greenhouse. So basically, we have two different crops. On the one end, I have lettuce. On the other end, I have strawberry, which is actually not quite obvious for the GCC scenario. But we have done a trial of strawberries. It was doing very well in case of winter season, because winter the temperature is quite good, because strawberry requires a maximum temperature of 24. That's it. And night temperature is around 18. But currently it's not going that fine. But basically, strawberry, when it requires a very less temperature, we can it was properly working in the winter scenario. But when it comes into the summer season, we'll be doing the shading from morning 10 to afternoon 3 p.m., which doesn't give enough light for the strawberries to function. So when you consider a greenhouse, go for a single crop only. And that single crop, if it is in a leafy greens, you can easily manage the temperature from morning 10 to evening 3, or evening 3, by giving overhead shading. So when you install a greenhouse system, you can also go for shading aspect. You can see the shading aspect, and you there are like what will say automatic shades which opens when the temperature of the greenhouse goes beyond 25. So that is also important to be considered. Now these are the image, like I said you, there is a EC chart. It shows that initially in the week 1 I'll be giving 1.2 EC, then 1.4, 1.6, 1.8, and up to 2 in my fertigation. That whenever my crops go for fertigation system, like whenever I inject fertilizer, this is the EC I maintain. And after injecting for 5 to 10 minutes, the water goes down to the through the NFT channel, and it drains back to the reservoir. Then the plants will be using the nutrients, and after that the EC of the reservoir will be around 0.8 to 1.0. So this is the normal EC in the irrigation water and fertigation. So both the systems are different. It's because of it might be because of my particular fertilizer system. Normally there are different kind of systems. What we use is, we have separate channels for fertigation and we have separate for irrigation. So these are the crop in different growing stages. You can see 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. And during harvest, this is the particular what will say crop size. So basically, this is Lolo Bionda, a particular variety of loose leaf lettuce, which is normally marketed as a complete head, and it will be having a head size of around 120 to 200 grams, as we are going for a fast system. Normally, if you let it grow slow, it can attain up to a 300 grams weight. But basically, in our scenario, we are just harvesting it in every 50 days at 120 to 200. And now, apart from that, he'll be discussed mainly in your nursery stage. And I sport in like once it get transplanted in your NFT system, you'll be having frog eye spots and the kind of leaf spot diseases. So once you find such diseases every day, you have to monitor your plants. So once you find such diseases, take out the plant as fast as you can, and then go for remedial sprays and all. That's the thing, because mostly in case of a greenhouse system, we normally doesn't advocate for spraying. What we normally do is sanitation. If you clean your greenhouse very well, if you maintain a proper standard, then the disease and pest incidents would be very less. And if you maintain your temperature, then pest will be very less. In case of if your greenhouse temperature is uniform, then the pest growth will be very less. And if your water temperature is optimal, then your root diseases will be very less. That is the main thing that I can share you from my experience. And this is like soft rot will be there. The collar region of the plants will be getting rots, and root rot will be there because of Phytophthora and Rhizoctonia. So whenever you find a disease, like if 5 or 6 plants in a row suddenly it starts wilting, take out and check the root. The root might be rotten, and once you see the roots are rotten, quickly the very first thing that you have to do is empty your reservoir tank. No matter how much nutrients you've kept into that, what is the current EC of the running water, you have to discard your reservoir tank, and you have to discard all the water in your reservoir tank. Do a thorough cleaning, let the water pump out, and then refill the water and remove all the diseased plants, because that is the only thing that you can do, or else your entire system will be infected. Then diseases you can see, like pests, you can see thrips are there, caterpillars can be occurring, but these are all, it's not, if you are maintaining it properly, you'll not be getting all these diseases and pests in your system. And the main challenge that I face is tip burn. So I've been using a like winter season variety previously in our seasons, and once in the starting of summer also we've been doing the same winter season variety. So because of that particular variety, or like the increased temperature inside our greenhouse, all our lettuce, the top of the lettuce was going burnt, the leaf were getting burnt, and that is a very tough issue in case of marketing your lettuce, because lettuce is only taken for its pretty leaves. So if your leaves aren't that pretty enough, then it's going to give you a trouble. So tip burn is an issue, and tip burn can be also due to calcium deficiency. But if you maintain your nutrient solution correctly, like A and B is going in the same ratio, then there will not be that much of challenge. But when the temperature gets increased, the plant will not be able to take proper nutrients, or uptake of nutrients will be in the disorganized way. Then it is difficult. So you know that calcium is an immobile element. When it shows the symptom in plant, it is very difficult to correct it, because already the older plants will be having tip burn, and if you do a calcium nitrate spray also, it's not going to manifest in your older leaves. It's only going to bring a change in your newly upcoming leaves. So that is an important issue that you need to check. So calcium deficiency often it occurs. That's why we are keeping calcium nitrate as the main source in case of fertigation in hydroponic system. So whenever you get a tip burn, check the calcium, like check your nutrient level, like EC and pH level. And if the pH is in a variable condition, like if your pH is more, then calcium uptake will not be proper in case of your nutrient solution. So check for the pH, check for the EC, and then if you want to correct it, the newer leaves will come proper if you do a calcium nitrate spray, but it doesn't manifest any change in your older leaves which are already showing the disorders. So that's all about what I've been learning from my experience here. So it's always a trial and error. That's what I can say to you, because there is nothing like a perfect nutrient recipe, or there is nothing like that. You can take information from various websites. There are actually manuals on greenhouse nutrient solution. You can learn from them, learn from those. You can devise your own nutrient solution, and you can do it. And this can all be kept as a standard to check what is the ratio required. And it's like making mistakes is humane, and even everybody makes mistake. So once you see that your seeds are not growing properly, check what is the problem and correct the problems and keep on growing, because at the end one day you will be a master of it. But before that, it's all trial and errors. And if you have any further questions, you can take my mail ID and you can drop me a mail, and certainly I'll be happy to help.